Welcome to the Live to Shoot podcast. My name is Jeff Dowdle, and in this podcast we talk about all things related to the Second Amendment, other things going on in the news, or something from my personal life. So welcome. In the late 1940s, there was a businessman named Henning Prentis, and Henning Prentis was the president of the Armstrong Cork Company. And during his time, Henning noticed there was a pattern in history that developed, and it was kind of a pattern where things went from bondage to liberty and back to bondage. And this pattern was called the Prentis Cycle. And he used it in a variety of speeches and essays. And in this is what it says. And this is quote, "From bondage to spiritual faith, from spiritual faith to courage, from courage to freedom, from freedom to abundance, from abundance to selfishness, from selfishness to complacency, from complacency to apathy, from apathy to fear, from fear to dependency, and from dependency back to bondage once more." So if I look at these stages, I think we are somewhere right now between apathy and fear, and we're well on our way to dependency and bondage. And the left, they say, never lets a crisis go to waste. And this is why, because these crises can move you along this continuum of the cycle and eventually get you into bondage, which is what their ultimate goal is, to be able to control us. So 2020, what happened? A crisis. And what happened? We moved, and actually I think we moved from probably apathy, complacency or apathy, to fear. And that's what the left was trying to do. They were putting these controls, spreading stories, creating a sense of fear. Where are we now? We're on the brink of war with Russia. We have Chinese spy balloons going across our nation. We have Russian fighters invading our airspace, train derailments spreading deadly gases, and our favorite, mass shootings. And I haven't mentioned that along with these topics, there's their favorite fear-mongering topics of climate change and racism. And this chaos is what the left wants. Now, let's look at the unfortunate shooting at Michigan State. I don't want to diminish any of it, but because it was a very serious matter. But that story has been all over the press. But how much of in the press have you heard about the armed Michigan tow truck driver who prevented an armed robbery, or the armed man in Michigan who shot and prevented a carjacking? They don't want to the media doesn't want to present anything positive as it pertains to firearms. And when you look at the Michigan State shooting, the shooter was already known by law enforcement. And this is a pattern we've seen over and over and over again. And because he had been arrested for criminal possession of a firearm, but a leftist prosecutor reduced the charge to where it was not a felony. This thus allowed him to be able to possess firearms and purchase them in the future. George Soros is backing all of these leftist, easy on crime district attorneys and prosecutors so he can create chaos. Chaos leads to fear, dependency, and bondage, and that is where they want to go. But we will prevail. We have no choice, so we need to keep fighting for our Second Amendment rights, because an armed society can't be put into bondage. We need to keep spreading the truth, like with things like this podcast and others, shows like Tucker Carlson, Dan Bongino, Charlie Kirk, Steve Bannon. We need to shine a light on what they're trying to do and the deceit and how they're trying to manipulate us, because light is the best disinfectant. So we have to keep fighting, fight for our Second Amendment rights. Look at the media through those lenses. What is their motive? What are they trying to do? They're trying to spread fear, to create dependency, and eventually move us into bondage. Because if there's fear and we want to then become more dependent on the government to protect us. And the government was not designed to protect us. It was designed to protect the nation to a degree, but we are our own protectors. And that is why the Second Amendment is so important. And that's why, as founding fathers are writing, first thing they said, I'm going to let these people say what they want. And then he said, if they're going to do that, they need to be armed. And so that is why the Second Amendment is so important. Just some thoughts I had on this as I look at what just the news of the day and how it just feels so crazy and what they're trying to do. They're trying to keep us in fear, trying to suck away our faith, and we can't allow it to happen. So go out, spread the word, share this podcast, and stay positive and know that we will prevail. Thank you.